I ran across a talk recently that grabbed my attention because it was about talking about what to do if you have children. It was kind of oriented toward parents, children who are anxious. But that really got my attention because it's not just children, it's really not just teens. We know that there's more and more anxiety that's going on around with young adults. And frankly, it's something I run into people of all ages. And so I was very interested in hearing about this, and there's actually, especially for parents and grandparents and all of us who are working with younger people, but you could even apply this if you're having a little anxiety yourself, that I thought was really helpful. And I also was interested in this because in some ways, if we're in this Jubilee year and the Holy Father is inviting us to this sense of our deeper reflection on hope. Hope does not disappoint. This is sort of what can happen if we don't have hope in our lives. So there's kind of two aspects to this. And one is about being careful in accommodating somebody who's having some anxiety. So accommodation would be anything that helps a person avoid their anxiety. So those could be things like doing something for them instead of having them do it for themselves. Letting them just to avoid the situation or skipping school or attending some activity instead of going into the experience. And then I found this real interesting, being very careful about being reassuring. Like, what? Now reassurance is saying things like, you're doing good. You're okay. You'll get through this. And the reason that that's perhaps not real helpful is because it creates a dependency outside of the child or the person, and it weakens their inner sense of confidence. So what we can do in a positive sense is not so much reassurance, but supportive statements, especially recognizing the experience the person is having and our confidence in them. It would go like this. I see this is difficult for you, and I believe you can do this. I believe this is difficult for you, and I believe you can do this. If we get used to a little bit of discomfort or helping others in their anxiety, and even potentially failing, because that happens in life, instead of allowing somebody to start feeling themselves as a failure, this is exactly what Jesus, I think, was doing in the gospel today. He recognized these professional fishermen out all night, the better time to fish, had been failing. But did he treat them as failures? I don't think so. Because what did he do? He got in the boat with them. Jesus got in the boat when they were failing with them. Jesus got in the empty boat, not the full boat. Got in the empty boat. What more would say to somebody, I know this is difficult for you, than saying, I'm right here with you. In your empty boat. The empty boat. And not just I have confidence in you. I am going to give my life for you. I am going to be the one who saved you. Because he's not just a close friend or a really good parent. He is the Messiah. And so what I want you to do is Go back to your life, but go deeper. Go deeper in the time that you don't expect anything to happen, in the middle of the day. Not great for fishing, allegedly, but in the light. My first reaction was, well, not sure about that. Not sure that's maybe even helping my anxiety, but I'm going to lean into this. I will do what you command. In other words, some kind of just act of faith, act of consent. And when they went deeper, according to where Jesus was leading them, then abundance came in their life. When we allow Jesus, perhaps when we feel like we're failures, and certainly when we might feel like we're failing, into the empty part of our lives, when our boat is empty, when we allow him to just be with us and reassure us of his grace, we're going to find that nobody is a failure, although part of being human has lots of failings. And when we go deeper, we're going to go down to the very depth of our identity, that we were meant for grace, that our life is actually a gift to the world. When God was creating the world, he had in mind each and every one of us. Without us, his creation is incomplete. He wants us to not only know the depth of our being and how loved we are, full of grace, but then we can go and catch others into that deep identity. That's why we have two brave young men stand before us this evening and say, I want baptism. I want that identity. I want the depth of a life with Jesus. That's what we're here to support each other in. To walk with each other, especially in the times we feel anxious and failing. Be with each other when our boats are empty. To be Christ for one another. And to catch others into that as well. Sometimes it's hard for us to speak of this. Just like in the first reading, the seraphim touched the mouths, the lips of those who are getting to know their holiness. But God gives us the words and the actions and the guidance we need. We do not need to be afraid. We're going to continue to be catching others into the depth of this mystery of who we are because of who God is and his holiness. By God's grace, as Paul gives witness to us, I am what I am. And his grace is not a failure. His grace is effective.